Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope the day finds you well because we are here to take a look at what's inside Commander Collection Green. And we have a surprise guest with us. It's Lily. I was told it would be Liliana, but this clearly is some very low-rent imposter. Either way, we shall sally onwards. We shall continue on our journey of greatness and take a look at what's inside Commander Collection Green. And when it comes to these opening videos, they're only one attempt, right? If I mess up, we gotta keep it because that's the only way it'll flow. All right, so Commander Collection Green. Let's take a look at the packaging. Oh, the funky Sol Ring. Dude, that actually looks amazing. I'm not going to show you the back of the packaging right now because that'll spoil all the cards that are in it in case you don't already know, and this is a journey of discovery for you, right? Some people are already going to know what's in here, but people who are newer to Magic, this will be a historical view into it. But look at the glorious artwork on this. This is a very nice looking box. All right. So, how does it open? Oh, look at that. Okay, I honestly, for some reason, thought it was going to open like a book. Very cool. All right, so, dude, you know what? It kind of makes me think of the Secret Lair packaging. Slightly different, but still. Anyways, obviously, we've got our first card here on the top. Let me take this out. Oh, this isn't that bad in terms of packaging. All right, so the first card that we're going to be taking a look at here is Freyalise Llanowar's Fury. So this is 2 green and 3 for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. The +2 ability is create a 1/1 green elf druid creature token with tap to add a green. -2, destroy target artifact or enchantment. -6, draw a card for each green creature you control. And Freyalise can be your commander. I mean, that's obviously not very surprising overall, that ability, right? Considering this is Commander Collection. Including a planeswalker of the variety you can't use as your commander would be somewhat confusing to me, but hey, what are you going to do? I love the fact that she's got this little eye patch. I don't know about you guys, but when I look at the artwork, whenever I see the eye patch, I think of Nick Fury. So if you're not really familiar with Freyalise, this is a planeswalker who featured fairly prominently, I should say, in certain parts of the Magic the Gathering storyline. She was the guardian of the Sky Shroud Forest, and she honestly really only cared about the Sky Shroud Forest until near the end of her existence. Actually, no, right up until the end of her existence, now that I think about it. She was dedicated to Sky Shroud, but ultimately she realized that she would need to sacrifice herself and Sky Shroud to close one of the time rifts that were threatening Dominaria. If you don't know about the time of the Mending, all of these like planar experiments, temporal experiments had caused massive rifts to open up over Dominaria, and so multiple planeswalkers had to deal with the scenario, and it actually cost them, a bunch of them, their lives. It made it feel like the event had more high-level stakes, and the idea was that planeswalkers were never quite as powerful after that point, and that was supposed to be the way to make it work with planeswalker cards, where it's like, hey, look at these planeswalker cards, you're summoning up a planeswalker like you, but everybody's not as crazy powerful, which explains why they're not as powerful. But then we have planeswalkers that are from before the Mending represented on cards, so it does get a little bit weird and muddy from a flavor perspective. But ultimately, I like this card. It has a 100% green feel to it, right? It makes 1/1 green Llanowar elves. It destroys artifacts or enchantments, and it lets you draw cards off of your green creatures. So, to me, this totally screams green and is well executed overall. And interestingly enough, Freyalise is a green-aligned planeswalker because she had the choice of what color mana she wanted to basically study and work with. And because she was defeated by somebody wielding green mana, and that's what actually activated her planeswalker spark, that's why she elected to become a green-aligned nature mage planeswalker. So that's some cool little backstory to go along with that card. What do we have next? Omnath, Locus of Mana. Dude, I love this card. 1 green and 2 for a 1/1 elemental. You don't lose unspent green mana as steps and phases end. And Omnath Locus of Mana gets +1/+1 for each unspent green mana you have. This is obviously a newer wording than the original printing, but it works obviously the exact same way. The flavor text says, "From the royal emerged a ravenous primordial being of pure mana." That is a really cool concept. Omnath just being made of mana, and actually what they've done is, as they've progressed this character along through Magic sets, they've added different colors to his casting cost, to the point where we have already gotten up to a 4-color Omnath. We're just waiting to see the 5th color Omnath. But man, I love this ability. You just get to hoard up a bunch of green mana for whatever purposes you want, and he grows from it as well. So you get the bonus of feeling like you're pumping up a creature, but at the same time, you're building up your mana reserves. And this feels really like on color. I do like it when cards that are focused in a particular concept, like this is Commander Collection Green. So every card in this set should kind of encapsulate the essence of green and also obviously be great for Commander. And so far, we have 2 cards that are great options as your Commander. The next card we're going to look at is Bane of Progress, and they did something with this card that I absolutely love. So, 2 green and 4 for a 2/2 elemental. When it enters the battlefield, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Put a +1/+1 counter on Bane of Progress for each permanent destroyed this way. So that's obviously amazing right there. It's a board wipe for enchantments and artifacts at the same time, and will grow this beast up to much larger proportions, which is what you want, because 6 mana is a hefty casting cost. But the flavor text says, Urza's forces tore across Argoth, and Argoth responded in kind. I love it. They've attributed this as one of the kind of creatures that has risen up as a result of the Brothers' War, right? The Brothers' War is coming out as a set at the end of 2022, and it is like my favorite storyline from Magic the Gathering. When it comes to old school Magic lore, the Urza storyline that starts with the Brothers' War and runs all the way up to like the Days of Invasion, like this is a long storyline that spanned years. And it's funny because when it was happening in the middle of it, I remember going, okay, we've been doing this storyline for a long time, but nowadays, looking at it in the rearview mirror, I've got nothing but excitement for it. So seeing flavor text that specifically referenced it, especially when this originally came out, because now we're getting more references to this kind of stuff, you know, all the different sort of get hyped for Urza moments, but this was a more rare occurrence at that point. Now we're getting full-on spoiler art with Urza and Mishra facing each other down with the gemstones like in their fists. Oh, I can't wait. Brothers' War, hype! I cannot wait. The artwork is pretty amazing. It shows like this tree elemental, this nature elemental, just devouring, just pulling in like crazy mechanical constructs, chomp, 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 and then just growing larger and larger. That's an amazing response. If you have a bunch of like artifact war machines that are being like overrunning your island and you are like the goddess of nature, basically it's like, yo, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna create beasts that literally consume those and feed off it. We're gonna create something natural that feeds on the unnatural. I like that. That's got some awesome flavor to it. Then we've got Seedborn Muse. What a great card. 2 green and 3 for a 2/4 spirit. Untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. Obviously, this is going to be amazing in Commander. And I mean, I do have to say that this seems great in Commander as well, since I didn't touch on that. But you know what I mean? Look at that. Look at that. It's going to wipe out all the artifacts and enchantments on the board and get huge. But either way, you're going to get to untap all your stuff during each player's turn. That's bonkers. And the flavor text says, the land echoes our intentions, and the kami echo the land. We must strive to live in harmony with the world, even when it seems to rise against us. And that's the Diary of Azusa, Lost But Seeking. So that's cool. A nice little reference to Kamigawa, and a very cool kami-style spirit, right? This is a spirit done in the Kamigawa style. Original Kamigawa, depending on when you watch this video. If you see this video in the future, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty may have come out, and this card probably won't fit in with that style because it seems like it's very futuristic, and I don't expect to see any spirits of this nature. But this is done in the original Kamigawa style, where all the kamis are kind of otherworld-looking creatures. They're otherworldly, and they have objects that circle around them. But I like that this one is shown in a very like peaceful and chill kind of state, drawing energy out of themselves, infusing it into the land. So this is a really awesome card on multiple levels. I really like it. It's a home run. A very cool choice to include in this box. Then we've got Sylvan Library. This is an interesting take on the card. So Sylvan Library is 1 green and 1. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand drawn this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put the card on top of your library. This is actually the rare that came out in Legends. I built a combo using this that made all of my friends refuse to play ante anymore. We used to play for each other's cards back in the day, but this card allowed me to pull some silly shenanigans that made everybody refuse. It's like, no, bro, we're not playing for ante anymore. It literally destroyed ante in my play group. And it's a pretty potent card, right? Like, you get to draw additional cards, and you get to choose whether you want to keep them. Now, 4 life is a huge cost to pay, but at the end of the day, if it advances you towards your goals, it can easily be worth the cost. And the artwork on this is really awesome as well, because it shows Reki, the living history of Kamigawa. It's actually like a character from the Kamigawa block, and all kinds of historical tales are inscribed on his body. I'll actually put them up on the screen for you to take a look at right now so you can see what I'm talking about, and then you can take a look and see that he's literally playing this crazy like magical lute, and all of these symbols are floating and flying through the air, woo, straight from this instrument, and they're flying around and affixing themselves to his body. It's absolutely amazing as a concept. Really, really cool. And I'll admit, the first time I saw this, I wasn't aware that's who this character was. I didn't make the connection. But once you know, it adds a whole extra layer of depth to the card. And I appreciate that. And now that I know we're not going back to Kamigawa in a way that really revisits what I liked about it, the story and the characters, I'm glad to have these references, right? So let's move on to the next card. We've got Worldly Tutor. So this is 1 green for an instant. Search your library for a creature card and reveal that card. Shuffle your library, then put that card on top of it. I remember when the cycle of tutors like this came out back in the old Mirage days. And most people just kind of looked at them as, they were like, meh, these are okay. It took a while for them to really start getting appreciated because, you know, back then you had Demonic Tutor. You could just pay 2 mana, put a card straight into your hand. So just going for a creature card and having to put it on top of your deck didn't seem so hot. Although green didn't have much in the way of options. What are you going to do? The flavor text says, a single chord brings them to heal, a whole song and they dance. And that's a quote from Yisin, the Wanderer Bard, who is a legendary character who was introduced in one of the core sets. I don't think he actually has much history in the way of lore, but I do like the way that the artwork shows him here playing his instrument and linking up with these different animals. I mean, I don't know if this was originally artwork intended for a different card concept, because it shows multiple creatures, and it, like, this card doesn't say to me when I look at the artwork, this is somebody like summoning a creature that will appear next turn. This is literally like a bard surrounded by beasts that he's tamed and soothed, which is cool as an artwork concept, but it does somewhat disassociate from the flavor, and like the flavor doesn't connect perfectly to the ability, and I'm always happiest when there's a perfect harmony with all that. But whatever. I mean, it's not like it's a big deal. It's a cool card to have for sure. Moving on. We've got the card that I am most excited about in this. This one's going straight into my cube. The Sol Ring. Every commander collection that they do, whether it's green, black, whatever color, will have a Sol Ring that is particularly keyed into that color. So if you've seen the recent commander collection black that has been talked about but hasn't come out yet, you will have seen that the Sol Ring has all kinds of skulls and candles around it. But in this case, we have this amazing nature-aligned one. I love that it's floating above this tree. Maybe it was carved out of the tree. Who knows exactly what it's made of, but it's got such a mystical feel to it. I love the nature vibe of it overall. It's absolutely an incredible rendition of Sol Ring. And Sol Ring, when it comes to commanders and auto include, or anything, any format you can play it in, you're pretty much guaranteed to play it. 1 to put out, taps for 2, which is obviously one of the most bonker deals in Magic. I remember playing with these cards right when we started, and it always felt so broken. I mean, truthfully, I had about 18 of these in my one deck, and like 30 some odd Crawworms. So I could basically go first turn Sol Ring, tap it, cast 2 more Sol Ring, second turn Crawworm, 6/4. Like, I had busted amounts of mana. Imagine being such a noob that you ramp up to having 8 mana on the second turn so you can cast a 6/4 vanilla. Do you know what I mean? Like, Magic at the beginning was wild, and just, it wasn't as organized, and like, before the set even comes out, we've already figured out what the meta will be. You know, it was a different time, man. But either way, this is going to be the Sol Ring in my cube. Unless Wizards puts out an even cooler Sol Ring at some point, this is going to be the Sol Ring for my cube. And if it comes out of the cube, then it's going into my Hazes on Tamar Commander deck 100%. Because this is absolutely gorgeous. It just has that sylvan vibe to it. You've got the winds flowing around the ring, and it's like it's blowing leaves through it as well. Like, do the leaves that flow through this Sol Ring also pick up some of the mystical energy that goes along with it? I love it. And then lastly, we have the green aligned command tower. Every command tower will have like a aspect to it to make it feel like it's particularly keyed into green. So this taps for 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And the flavor text says, absolute power is the only true authority. Anything less is a lie told by the weak. All right, Garruk's sounding a little bit like a tyrannical dictator here, bro. But yeah, I mean, might makes right, I guess, when it comes to Garruk. Especially with the darkness of the tower. Sure, there's green mana flowing up off the top, but look at how dark it is. It really does give an evil kind of vibe. So I gotta say, pretty sweet setup here, man. These are some nice cards, and this has been a nice, enjoyable, historical wander through the oldest Commander collection that exists. It's the first one ever made. Who knows? This video could still be on YouTube 30 years later, and it's like, Commander Collection Purple Yellow just came out, and it's like, what happened to Magic? Who am I? I'm just wandering around. Anyways, I'm going to keep rambling here. So, if you liked the video, then like the video. And yeah, thanks to my patrons for supporting my channel. I'll see you guys now. Oh, wait, yeah, never mind. Dude, if you want to have a genuine laugh, there is a hilarious video over on my other channel where I'm trying out something called the Snack Hat, and it basically just ends up being like a device of my own misery. So if you want to see me yelling and having a bad time in a hilarious way, I'm going to leave the link for you. Some of you have already seen the video and loved it. Some of you haven't. Come on by and check it out. Anyways, see you guys next time.